Meow, meow.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
We're here. I think.
Somewhat. I might have lost some sanity points.
It's what I do.
Hope everyone's having a good day today. A beautiful Sunday.
We got a lot of sleep.
We did. We overslept by like 2 hours or something.
Yeah, we've been up like 2.5 hours now, apparently.
If you ain't lost sanity, you ain't lived.
That's very accurate, Slime. Very accurate.
Very true. Yeah, we slept quite a bit. Although, to be fair, we did go to bed a little bit later than normal. My insomnia was hitting.
Yeah, it was a little rough. It's alright.
But I feel pretty energized, so that's a good thing.
I've got a long day of streaming today. We got this, and then after the art tutorial, with me and Eisen doing Divinity 2. So
Yeah.
long day.
Yeah, long day for you.
Yeah.
After this, I'm done.
Munch some foods and chill.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably be working on commissions, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Right.
So today I made a lesson plan, just like last time, but this one's gonna be a little bit longer, I think, because there's a lot to cover for face structure and face placements.
All about that face. About that face.
So I covered like the very bare minimum basics of it in the last one when we were talking about skeletal structure and body placements and measurements and stuff. I hope that y'all tried to practice it during the week if you had time, and I hope that it helped some of you. That's the goal for these tutorials, is that it might help some people learn new ways of making perspective and drawing people a little bit easier.
Do that.
It seemed to have done something for Fox, because when he was doing some personal art, I saw a huge improvement there, so I'm glad that it stuck for him at least.
Yeah, the line art came out really well. Really good.
Yeah, so he was doing pretty good for that. So yeah, I'm hoping that it helps at least one of you who are watching.
Me, that's all that matters.
So last week we did a vote on progressing with how to draw heads and faces and certain aspects of faces. And again, this is just basic stuff, so it's not necessarily like diving deep into different art styles and stuff like that, but obviously learning the basics like this can be applied to any art style. So it's just good to know the basics before trying to really hone in on a style and stuff. It can definitely improve simpler styles even. So I've seen that a lot. Some people who can do like, chibi stuff, if they have the basic knowledge of where facial placements should be, it kind of improves the overall art piece, I feel. So
None of the deep lore yet.
So I have a few things that we're going to go over today. We're going to go over face angles and how that works. As you can see here, that's the first thing we're going to go over.
Yeah, Husky, we use OBS.
Yeah, we use OBS.
OBS.
I don't know much about it, but Fox sets everything up, so.
There's a lot of dials and toggles and buttons to press.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, currently I'm on his computer, so my model is the one that looks a little bit smoother for tracking.
Super hot.
Thanks. And Fox is a little bit stiff because it's on my computer, and my computer's not, a supercomputer, so sometimes it tracks well, and other days it just is very stiff looking.
We can go over that later. Yeah, there's a tab you can open up for it. You have to connect your Twitch to it.
If you want, those kinds of questions could be asked in our Discord, or you can ask them on Blue Sky.
Yeah, just toss me a DM in Discord, Husky. I'll send you a screenshot and we can go over it.
Yeah, I'd rather we actually focus on what we're doing today than go over tech stuff. Okay. So what we're doing today is face angles. Then I'm going to go over basics for eye angles because that's also a difficult thing to grasp when it comes to faces and different angle of faces. Because here, as you can see, they're just circle placements, really a loose idea of where they should be on the face. But then when you actually do the detailing of the eyes and the iris and pupils and stuff, like that changes as well. So we're going to go over that a little bit. We're going to go over a nose breakdown as well.
Break the nose.
As well as a mouth breakdown and... Thanks, Connie. How's it going?
I am safe.
Hi, Lou. Welcome in.
Hello.
So what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So mouth breakdown, and then we're going to go through a face breakdown. So with a face, like, properly drawn. Obviously a simpler style, not my usual style. And then we're going to have Fox try and apply everything that we learned and try... Secret tunnel under the mountain. Secret tunnel. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then at the end we're gonna have Fox try and recreate the face breakdown and see if he can apply what we covered today. And if there's any questions that arise there,
Fox is gonna break a face.
we'll no.
Oh.
Gonna try and create a face.
Create a face. Oh.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so we might as well start with the first thing here, which is face angles. Gonna make another layer. Do the pen thing. Make it maybe yeah. Good. Okay. So this row right here, that's this is a boost. So this row in the middle, it's the row for like front facing view. Then the top row, it's going to be below face view. So camera angle is facing up towards your face. So you get the under angle of the face. And then the bottom row here is the top view of the face. So the camera would be pointing down on top of you.
I look down on people a lot.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, as tall as people think you are.
That's true. I'm not.
It's just that I'm small.
Everyone just assumes I'm like 9 feet tall.
Right.
It's not the case.
It's your confidence and overflowing personality and
So when I hold my hair up in the air, that's when I'm super tall.
So we'll start with the front-facing view, which is the more simpler one to do. The middle row is more straight on. This row here. Okay. Then these two sides, they're copies of each other, just flipped to be looking left and right.
That's great.
So it kind of just gives you an idea of what a front face view should be, what a 3/4 face should be, and then a side view.
Hey, Angel.
Welcome in, Angel.
We're doing art.
So I hope that makes sense so far. It's pretty basic stuff. So if we're going for the front view,
All the
head-on view, go through it like this. The most important thing when you're doing something that's more face head-on, the middle lines are going to be pretty straight because there's no angle to the face, as you can see here. Doing Loomis heads? Loomis heads? What's Loomis? I don't know. Listen, I'm not an expert at art. I just do the stuff.
It's just ingrained in you.
I guess so. I'm finding it pretty difficult to find all the actual terms and stuff, so I'm just gonna explain it simply.
Yeah.
Hi, Welcome in.
It's been good. It's been good.
yeah, we're just getting started in the lesson for today. We're doing face structure. So, grab a snack, grab a drink, and listen to me try to explain art in an improper way.
Oh, inappropriate, aren't we? I'm forced.
So the middle line of the face is always going to be pretty much straight when it's a front-facing view, and there's no turning of the head. For the middle head here, because it's pretty straight on angle, this part, it's only slightly curved because the face is still round, but it's pretty straight. If we go to the angle where you're seeing the bottom side of the head, it's going to be curved more upwards like this. Just to give you an idea of where all of the other parts of the face should be kind of curved in that way, because it's looking up. And when your head is round and spherical almost, not perfectly obviously, it's going to be curved that way. And then when you're looking down, it's the same idea, except the curve is the bottom side of the circle, if you want to think about it that way.
Circles.
Taking the notes.
We should have new updated emotes here soon for those. Great.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think it's next week.
Very exciting. So that's the idea for that. When you start going off to a 3/4 view, we usually call it a 3/4 view. It's because you can see most of one side of the face, but then the other side of the face is a little bit hidden because it's all curved. So in this example, the front-facing view of the face, this angle, it's still pretty much straight, but slightly curved to the side because the face is starting to move this way, right? It's the same thing on the other side, it's just starting to move that way, so it's going to be curved that way. Okay? This curve for the middle face pretty much stays the same, if you see, for the other angles as well. For the bottom angle and top angle. So that kind of helps with a certain guideline for when you're doing your faces. The curvature of the middle line usually ends up being somewhat the same for the different angles of the face. Okay? The only thing that really changes for the angles of the face is, again, this line's gonna be curved, but it's mostly straight, right? Would be more like in the middle of a circle if you're drawing out a sphere. Top angle, again, same idea, more curved upwards, right? And then this one more curved downwards. It's just a good way to know, like, where the face placement should be and how much of the cranium you're seeing. So you're gonna see more cranium for when you're looking down on somebody. You're still gonna see a bit of the cranium here when it's a front-facing view, but here, when you're looking up, you don't really see most of the cranium. It's kind of hidden, but you will see the jawline, which is also curved in a similar way as the middle line for the eye placement. So that's another trick. So for the front-facing view, you see more cranium at the bottom here. This one, you see a little bit of it. And then at the top here, you don't really see most of the cranium. It's just the same kind of curve as the middle line for the eyes, and then similar curve for the jawline. They're kind of all mimicking each other.
Mimics.
Yeah. For side profiles, what's interesting about this is that the middle line almost doesn't exist, depending on how, extreme the angle is, but we're going to more extremes for this. Basically, the middle line is here. Okay? You're gonna see more side of the face rather than the other side of the face, which is hidden. A good way of indicating that it is a side profile is being able to do the side nose well and the lips as well.
The lips are horrible.
A good trick for noses, I find, is, let me hide all this and do another layer, so not gonna be as crazy looking. A good shape for a nose, I find, is a downward diamond shape, like this. If you really want to, you could also put in the lines like this, okay? So when it's front facing, like this nose here, it's gonna look pretty much like this. This intersection here is the tip of the nose. Okay, we're gonna get more into detail on noses in a little bit, but it's just, that's why I drew it in this shape, because even on the side profile here, you can see here that the diamond shape is there and the tip of the nose is here towards the side. And then when it's a side profile, it's still in that similar type of shape where this part is a little bit smaller than this part. So this part, the bridge of the nose, is longer than the bottom part of the nose, but it's still not a perfect 90-degree angle, right? Because you have the bottom part of the nose here, bridge of the nose, and then the tip of the nose. Oh, I hate this eraser. Hold on, let me fix that. Hard. Okay. Ah. Yeah. Okay. So I hope that that makes sense for the nose. But for side profiles, the line is there. Then you still have a curvature to the face for the eye line here. What's interesting about the front face is that you kind of get more of the spherical shape, right? This part's going to be rounded, this part's going to be slightly rounded, and then this part's going to be rounded. So it's the same thing here. As an example, middle line's round. Let's say this is just a full circle, right? You have that part of the circle, that part of the circle, middle part of the circle. If we're going really, really basics and shapes.
Yeah.
Did you draw the head chart out? Yes, I did. Did it just for you guys.
Gem has much skill. Many years of practice.
I've been drawing a very long time, yeah.
Over 20-something years.
Yeah, most of my life, pretty much.
Yeah.
Thanks. Glad you think it's neat. For the side profile of the bottom view, so you're looking this way, right? You're looking up at the person. Again, you have the jawline. The jawline is the most important part of an under view. You want to always include that here.
The boob, got it.
Right, this part. It's very important. That is what makes the person look like it's looking upwards, okay? Same thing for the nose. The nose changes for a downward view. You're going to really see the underside here of the nose. But you see, if you're thinking about this shape, right, you're going to do that shape again, right? But it's more angled on favorably on this side, right? Because it's sticking out that way. That's the tip of the nose. So if you're looking at the line of it, that's the under part of the nose. The bottom part of the nose. I hope that makes sense. It's really like simple drawings, and I'm trying to make it as simple as possible to try and make it not so complicated, but... So as you can see here, you can still see the bridge of the nose a little bit here, but most of it is the under part of the nose. Same thing here with the front view, you kind of just see the under part of the nose. And then it's the same thing on this side for this side, just flipped. Okay. So that's like the middle lines of the face. In the previous tutorial that we did last Sunday, I kind of explained how the what the lines, all of these lines are, and how that can help guide you with the placement of your face and the eyes, nose, mouth, even the ears. So I'm just going to go over that again, just to make sure, in case if you guys missed it. Oh, and also, if you ever do miss these streams, we are uploading them onto our YouTube channel. So please follow there if you ever want to watch stuff. We're going to upload all of our VODs there the best that we can.
I don't know if this still works. But not.
No,
Oh,
so we're going to have to fix that. Okay. So now, I'm going to just describe what all of these lines are and how that helps you.
Yeah.
So usually I'll start off with the main circle of the head. That's like the cranium of your skull, okay? After that, I will put down the middle line and then the middle eye line. just to give an idea of like how long the face will be and the angle of the face. So I'll do another example of the other angles as well. But for now, we're going to do the front-facing view just to explain all of these lines. So that's the main basic structure of a face. Okay. After that, you want to kind of do a rough outline of the jawline. Okay.
Change too.
There we go.
That's you too.
Now, the jawline, I feel like people have a hard time trying to get it perfect the first time, but this is just the skeletal structure, the base of your face, so you can totally adjust things as you go along, because sometimes the skeletal structure might not be perfect when you start putting in all the details, so you might have to adjust things in your sketches anyways. It's just a good guideline for you to try and make sure that everything's placed where it needs to be. So don't be afraid to be like, oh, I must have messed up the skeletal structure big time if I need to do adjustments in my sketching afterwards, you know? That's not the case. That's like totally normal. This is just so that you have an idea of where things should be placed in the face. And if you need to adjust as you go along, that's totally fine too. I do that myself. Sometimes I'll get to like end sketch phases and I'm like, it just doesn't look right. And I'll make adjustments.
Daily.
So don't be afraid of, you know, thinking that you make a mistake or whatever. It's all part of the learning process too. Anyway, so when you do the jawline, the point of the jaw right here, it should be more in the lower half. Because if you feel your own facial structure, your jawline doesn't have usually much of an angle, but it's usually in the lower part of your face, and it's also a good guideline for where your mouth line should be. It will always, most likely, line up with the angle of your jawline. I hope that makes sense. So that's a good place to put the middle line of your mouth. Okay. Then we get to the eyes. You can just get away with the middle line, that's for sure. You can totally do that. But I like to put the other two lines there as a guide for the eye not exceeding those parameters on either side, especially because it's hard to recreate eyes on either side of the face. I know a lot of people struggle with that. Even I do sometimes. I misplace where the eye should be. So having those two lines there just really help you with recreating the second eye. But if you're doing digital, it does also help that you can just, you know, duplicate the layer and then flip it. So some people can get away with just having a carbon copy of the first eye that you drew.
Yep.
But if you're not doing it that way, or you're drawing traditionally, and you don't have those options, then having the two lines above and below the middle eye line is just a good guideline for you to not exceed or have it lopsided looking. Mind if I add a little tip here? Sure, go ahead. Let's do another color here. The middle eye line, I find, is a good guideline for where the start of your ear should be. Okay? And then the bottom of your ear should be close to the point of your jaw, if not on the point of your jaw. But it could be a little bit higher as well, depending on the type of ear that you're doing. So that's a good guideline here.
The app is Clip Studio Paint.
Yeah, the application we're using is Clip Studio Paint. I did go over how to use it in our first tutorial.
That should be live now, actually.
It should be live now.
Yeah.
So I think we're 2 VODs behind on YouTube, but every Sunday we're gonna be posting the VODs there. So it's gonna be two tutorials behind, I think.
Yeah, that totally was on purpose, so if we miss a week, there's still content. That's not me being lazy, I swear.
So Angel's saying, if you think you placed your eyes weird, a rule of thumb is that there should be one eye's worth of space between them. Yes, I was about to get to that. So the ear placement, that should be there. Okay. I like to do the, how do I call it? I like to split the face into three, I guess. So these lines here are a good guideline for where the center of your face should be. I put an angle here because the head is not flat.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of allows you to feel like there's a 3D aspect to the head, right? Because of those angles. Makes it feel like it's a little bit more round. I like to put it, not everybody does it, but I like to do it that way because then I'm like, okay, it reminds me that the head is supposed to be round and it's not, 2D. Bringing it down in the middle here, like this, it's a good guideline for where your eyeballs, let me do it in light blue here, where the middle line of your eyes should be. So it goes down in the center of the circle, but it also does help to know that there should be another space here where you can fit an eyeball in the same shape, like what Angel pointed out. So that helps too if you're not sure where those center face lines should be. But it also helps for the guideline of how long the mouth should be, so the corners of the mouth shouldn't exceed that center section of the face.
Unless you're goofy like me.
Yeah, Fox I had to over-exaggerate a bit because he likes having a big mouth.
Yeah, but,
It's the uncanny valley kind of mouth, but I think it still works.
yeah. It's just barely out of there.
Yeah. So of course, like I said, there's exceptions to all of these rules. They're not like set in stone or anything, but if you want a face to look somewhat natural, these are good guidelines. You could always play around with it and try and, bend the rules for certain types of looks and certain types of characters, but anyways. And now for the nose, like I said, it should be kind of this diamond shape here in the middle of the face, so the center line should run through the middle, and a good rule of thumb is like it's in between, it's not too far away from the mouth. It's hard to say because everybody's noses are placed differently in the face, but if you really want it to be symmetrical as possible, I would say try and keep it so that the circle of the head runs through the center of it, as well as the middle line of the head runs through the center. That's a good rule of thumb as well. And keeping it in this diamond shape, it helps you find where like the tip of the nose should be and where the shading should be when you eventually shade. Should be for the bottom part of the nose, and then where the bridge of the nose is, it's just a good shape to have for that. And then for the neck, I like to think of it as a cylinder. Obviously people have different, body types and stuff, so I try not to make the neck too thin. I try to keep it like just a little bit away from where the jawline is. Just a little bit inwards. I find that looks a lot more natural. And if you feel your own neck, usually it's gonna connect where the jawline is. So I wouldn't go any more inward than that, because then it's just gonna look kind of skeletal or a little bit giraffe-like, I suppose. If you want to go bigger, obviously the neck's gonna look pretty girthy and a little bit unnatural as well. But some people have large necks, like if you're drawing a very muscular character. Yeah, some features work for different builds. Yeah, totally. Like I said, this is just really basic stuff, just for like basic character stuff. If you have different styles, that can be exaggerated also, so...
Yeah, different weights and whatever for the characters.
Yeah, different sizes of things, but this is like the basic stuff so that it doesn't like feel weird, I guess, when you're drawing it and starting to put details onto it. But yeah. So I hope that this makes sense. I'm gonna go over it again for a different angle just to give you guys an idea of it. I think I'll do the under angle 3/4 view here So just
Important to be able to look down on people. Snooty.
so what's important here is you still have, oops, the tablet moved a little bit. You still have this circle for the cranium. Ugh. Okay. The middle circle is still very important. It's not going to be as low as a front face view because of the jawline here. Right? So it's kind of like a weird W shape. So when you have it like this, you can see, okay, so we're looking underneath the person, and it's a good guideline for you to be like, to know where the middle line should end on the face. And again, it shouldn't be going too long. If I bring it down longer, it's gonna look very awkward when you do the jawline. Are you drawing with a mouse? That seems very difficult. No, I'm drawing with a pen.
We have the pen tablets.
Yeah, I have a tablet that's a screen that I can draw on.
Foxbot one too. That's the one we're using. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more used to my tablet. It's a lot more sturdier. His is the stand is a little bit slippery, so sometimes if I push too hard, it moves.
Yeah.
But I'm more used to the tablet that I have, so. Yeah.
Theirs is bigger than mine. It's all right.
Well, like we said, like the size of the screen really doesn't matter.
No, it works fine.
No, I prefer it larger because of my own comfort and chronic pain issues and stuff, but
Yours is more sturdy. Stays in place better.
yeah. Okay, so that's the idea of the base here for the face. You always want to make sure that those three things are in place because that's going to be the main shape of the face and a good indicator of what the angle is. So again, like I explained, the middle line is going to be slightly curved onto one side, and that's going to help you figure out the placement of the rest of the face. So then we're going to do I'm going to redo the jawline here just to keep it in color. Okay. That's the idea. The mouth line, again, it's a little bit difficult to explain at this angle, but as you can see here, if I draw the line all the way through, it connects to just above the point of the fox ears. I don't got no fox ears.
This.
It goes to the, it's just a little bit above the angle of the jawline. So that's if I overextend it a bit. And again, the middle line of the face, you also have to draw that. That helps you with the placement of where the corners of the mouth end. The ears will follow the middle line of the eye. And because it's angled, you're not really going to see that ear. Oh, I forgot to draw the middle line of the eye. That's something that should be there first. The middle line of the eye is curved in this way because it's looking upwards, so it should be a little bit more of an exaggerated curve that follows the top of the head and the jaw, right? Then the top line goes on top, the bottom line at the bottom. Okay, and then the eyeballs. When it's angled like this, the one that is closest to you should be a little bit larger than the one that is farther away from you. The rule of having an eye in between is still good. And the red middle lines here are also good for judgment of where the circle should be. Okay. And then the nose, I did that in red.
Looks very cyberpunk.
It's here. So I filled it in because it's going to be shadowed. Okay. And that kind of goes for the under part of the jaw as well. Will be shadowed as well. And then the neck is also still cylindrical. And again, connects to the points. Those are always a good guideline for that as well.
behind the ear. Is that what you were saying?
To the points of the jaw.
To the points of the jaw.
Yeah, yeah. And the ear, again, as you can see, I started it on the middle eye line, going down to just above the point. That's a good indicator of like a normal looking ear. Again, you can change it, but I feel like it always should start on the middle eye line. You could go lower and towards like the actual point of the jaw if you wish, but if you go higher than the eye line, it will always make the face look a little bit strange and like things are not placed where they need to be, or that the ears are very awkward looking. Obviously, that's in my opinion. And I know that a lot of other people tend to follow that rule. If you don't want to follow it, totally fine, but I feel like that kind of helps with balancing out the face structure.
Face.
Yeah. So I hope that this helps. Also, for when it's looking onto the side, I have this like little circle here that I draw. So here it's a little bit smaller, here it's bigger. It kind of just shows like the side of the skull and how much space it's taking. It helps with the angling of the face as well.
Mm-hmm.
If we're all okay with that, I'll explain a side profile for the looking down, I guess, just as an example. We'll go in with this one, I guess. Again, you want to have the cranium circle. Middle line circle, it's going to be very much on the edge of the face.
So hard to line that up right.
Yeah, side profiles are pretty difficult. They're pretty tricky. The jawline. Well, the jawline's not in green. I'm always doing it wrong. Do it blue. The jawline's here. And it's going to be pointed here on the side. You could exaggerate the shape of the jawline as well. Like you could make it more angular so you have more of a point here. That's fine as well. Okay. The middle face line, you're not going to see the one that's on this side at all. You're not going to see the other side of the face. So you're just going to have one that's here. Okay. The nose, again, because now this is what's interesting. When it's middle facing like this, it goes down a little bit. It's not an exact 90-degree angle. Here you can have a 90-degree angle, but it also has the bottom part as well. So the diamond shape still applies for these two.
Hey, Echo.
Welcome in, Echo. When you're facing down, you're not going to see the under part of the nose. Right? So it's going to be a little bit more of a 90-degree angle shape for the nose here.
Just a triangle.
Rule of thumb for the mouth, again, I'll do it in blue like I should be doing. It stops where that red middle face line is. Okay?
For the nose?
For the mouth.
For the mouth.
Mm-hmm. I forgot to do the middle eye line here. Not really. Then we have the two lines going underneath it. The eye is there. I drew it wrong here. It should really be like this red line should be like the center of where the circle is. Okay. The thing about the eye when it's bottom, you cannot do, if you want to do like a full circle, it's better for when it's front facing. Okay. When it's facing in this angle, it's better to have the round part on the top and more straight on the bottom because of the angling. And then it's the opposite for when you're doing when you're looking at it in this angle. Should be more like that. So
I would have no idea on that.
you see? Then it looks more like you're seeing it from the top angle in that way.
Because of the angle, it flattens out that curve.
Yeah, exactly. Like the brow line, you know, the brow bone. It changes the shape so you see less of the eye when it's a top view. But the brow bone here, you know, it's like where the top eye line is. That's where it should be. But because you also have a cheekbone, it will hide part of the eye there.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Anatomy studies.
So again, you start your ear at the middle eye point, and then you bring it down to like close to where the jaw point should be. And then this is still a cylinder. When it's a side profile like this, I like to bring the neck to connect to the base of the skull. So the base of the skull is that green circle we start off with. Okay. So I like to bring it right there. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for that, I think. Is there any more questions on like the face angles and stuff like that? I just gotta take a sip of a drink.
Drinky.
Drink.
Ligma. Ligma.
Yum.
Sugma. I'm sorry, what?
Do you have any questions, Fox?
A lot, but
Well, go ahead, ask. That's what you're here for.
I think it's a lot of little anatomy lessons that I'm just gonna have to learn over time, like the shapes of the eyes that are supposed to be appropriate for different angles, or the shape of the chin whenever it's in the different perspective, the different angle. Because it's weird to be able to look at something and go, oh, that doesn't look right, but then to not know how to make it look right, I guess.
Right. So I guess another trick would be where the face is. So when you're looking upwards, the face, it's going to take up more of the top half of the entire face, right? When it's front facing, the face takes up most of the circle, right? But still pointing a little bit more downwards because forehead.
Yeah.
Right? Then when it's facing down, the face is going to be more towards the bottom of the entire face. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does.
So it's the same thing if you start angling it. It's still the same rules, you know?
It's whatever third of the face, I guess, it's occupying.
Yeah, so front of the face, you know, takes up most of the circle, right? Like that.
Yeah, it's really weird to look at it that way. Just from the amount of space that the face actually takes up.
Yeah, and then when it's upwards, it's taking up more like this, right?
Our faces are so small on our heads.
This kind of applies for eyeballs, which we're going to be getting into next. So it kind of looks like eyeballs right now. It's the same idea, same rules. The face at the bottom here. You see? But it's still always towards the bottom.
Yeah.
It only takes up that much space, you know? So that kind of helps.
I need to draw 9,000 circles so I can actually make circles.
Yeah. So if nobody has any questions about this, I'm going to move on to more specific face details. But that is how at least I tackle faces in more foreshortening or more 3D angles, I suppose you could describe it that way. Obviously, there's way more variants that you can do, but like these are the basic stuff. There's front-facing, three-quarter view, side view. Those are like the three major ones. And then as for angles, there's front-facing, upward angle, and downward angle. Okay, so.
And then the back of the head, that's the easiest. Haha.
Well, usually I don't draw the back of a head. I don't think I'm going to cover that. It's not part of my expertise anyways. Usually it's covered by hair, so
right.
If it's a bald character, I guess you would need more anatomy for it, but yeah. So that's that for that. We're going to get into eye angles now and some details that help with eyes. So I drew these out, and I'm gonna go over it, but this is how I learned it in class. Boop, 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 boop. Let that in. What? Hello? There we go.
All the layers.
So I learned this in animation classes. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like it helps with understanding a little bit of angles and foreshortening as well as eye movement. Of course, eyes can look, go in all directions, but when it comes to the face angles that we were just discussing, this one is the front-facing eye angle. This is the 3/4 facing eye angle, and then this one's the side-facing eye angle. Same thing for the other side. Okay? Biblically accurate eye.
Totally explain all.
So these eyes in this eyeball that I drew apply here. Okay? So let's do another layer here. So this is the front-facing eye. I drew the circle of the eyeball. I feel like that helps because when we were doing the skeletal structure, I also drew them in a ball like this. It's kind of like representing the eyeball or the eye socket, right? So you draw the eyeball, and then when it's front facing, it's going to be more center, right? Okay. Then you can draw the actual iris and the pupil. Once you do that, then you can start doing the detail work on top of it. So I'm going to just go over it again for the other ones. This one is the same thing. I drew the eyeball. Because it's more of a 3/4 view, right? It's going to look more like that. Right? Hope this is making sense to people.
Yeah.
The side profile, you have the circle, then you have the lining. It's very much side. Ooh, why white?
Curious.
Again.
I think I just missed the line.
Weird.
Oh.
That. And you have the. This is very, very basic. You can squish it by changing the eyeball into more oval shapes, kind of like here. I have an example of it. This one's very more oval, this one's slightly oval, and then the front facing is more circular. I feel like that helps a lot too.
Squish.
Yeah. Of course, this is like super basic. The eyeball can move, in a circle, so the iris and pupil, obviously they move together. They can go anywhere on the ball, but this is just to make it as simple as possible for you guys. So once you have the eyeball structure that we just did, that I just went over, you can start doing the actual detailing of the eye, which I did here. The top lid.
I fight for hours.
Mm-hmm. Top lid and bottom lid. Obviously, this depends on your eye, the style that you're drawing as well. Like, this is more accurate to, like, my style of eye in a very simplistic way. But yeah, that's the top lid, bottom lid. Usually the bottom lid has an extra line for the water line. I like to put this detail here because it's still round and the skin, that's the bottom lid. This is the top lid. It will follow the curvature of the eyeball that was underneath it, right? Because it's round. This also helps for when you're doing like shading or rendering an eyeball. Usually the darkest points of the eyeball is going to be in the crease and on the sides. So the highest point of the ball is going to have the highlight, right? So that goes for the eyelid as well. The eyelid's going to have a lighter color in the center And then on the sides, it's going to be shaded. Does that make sense? Same thing for the bottom lid. This part's going to be shaded more than this part. Because that's the height of the sphere.
Mm-hmm. Help it all look more round instead of a flat eye.
Yeah, I'm explaining this really quickly now, but I think eventually we'll have a lesson on rendering and stuff. So we'll, I'm going to talk through like shading and highlighting for simple shapes, and then eventually apply that to bodies and faces. So.
Oh, the whole face, God.
Yeah, the whole face is a little bit complicated if you want to make it look a little bit more rendered or a little bit more shapely than just flat. So I have some tricks for that as well, but
I feel like that's one of my biggest sticking points at the moment. Every time I draw a face, I'm like, oh, it looks so flat.
Yeah. It's okay. It takes practice. It's very complicated. It's a lot of shapes within the face, so. The same thing goes for any highlighting that you might do within the eye. Usually it's going to be at around the highest point of the eyeball, right? Same goes for like a regular sphere. So if you want to do highlighting, it would either be in this area, you know, because that's the highest point of it and it's round.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to consider that the lids also can form a shadow depending on where the lighting is in the room, which is a whole other lesson, but
room lighting.
Just doing it very basic like it would be in that area. On top of the crease of the lid, you have your brow. And also brow shapes are all different depending on the character, the OC, you can draw eyebrows in so many different shapes and styles, so that's really just like a preference, I think, or even just a style preference too, because sometimes specific styles have the same eyebrow for everybody.
Found that I've fought that a lot, trying to get the expression but having a stylized eyebrow.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like for me anyways, I like to draw different brows for everybody. But I do tend to have this shape going usually because for most people anyways, not everybody, but for most people there's like a high point of a brow, which is kind of like this is kind of like a triangle. Right? And then the rest of it is like a rectangle. So if you split it up that way, that kind of helps too. It's actually split that way for when you're cutting a model for rigging, so.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is funny, I've been just doing it like that my whole life. But yeah. So that's... Let me see. So when it's a 3/4 eye, it's kind of the same as the front-facing eye, except it's going to be all shifted slightly. So if you keep the idea that the middle point of the ball is here, that's going to help you when you're shifting the shape of the top lid and the bottom lid, right? The larger points or the highest points of the shape of the lid is going to still somewhat follow the middle point of the eye. Does that make sense? Did I say that weird?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Same thing goes for the side profile. However, side profile is a little bit more complicated, I find, when it comes to eye shape, when you're doing the detailing anyways, because the point of the eye is here. You can still somewhat see it, usually. So that point is really important to have, because that's going to help you shape the rest of the lid. So if I do it in a different color, you're going to have this point for the top part of the lid, and then it'll follow like that, but in a round shape. Obviously, this depends on the type of expression you're doing too. If it's like a wide-eyed expression, it's going to be different. Wide-eyed, the point is the same, but the eye is going to be, you know, more open, like this.
The full side profile, where it's just at the 90-degree, that was rough to get the eye shape to look right.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky, and obviously it also depends on what type of expression you're doing. But if we're going for more neutral, this is a good way of doing it. You have the little point here, and then the top lid, and the bottom lid. But also, I never do it straight. I will never do like just a straight line. It's going to always be slightly curved one way or the other.
Both top and bottom?
Yeah, because the eyeball is round, so it makes the skin of your lids round shaped because it's going over the round ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as where the point of the eyebrow is, so let's say it's here for when it's front facing, as it's moving in direction. So for 3/4, the point of the brow also changes its position in the face. So here the point of the brow is even closer. So it kind of like smushes the brow a little bit. That's foreshortening though.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it maintains its position on where the eyeball is, but
Yeah, but because of foreshortening, it looks like it's like being smushed and there's less space. But really, I think the only thing that's changing is the length of this part of the brow. It's getting shorter and shorter. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah. I don't know that I could duplicate it right off the top of my head, but I understand what is happening at least.
Yeah. Um.
Ooh,
Okay.
sawing.
Time to go do some sawing.
Cut the things.
Go
Metal,
and
wood.
go and cut the things. Have fun. Okay, so that's that. Another thing that I wanted to go over is eyelashes because a lot of people ask about eyelashes.
I still keep skipping most of them. They get like 3 eyelashes on the bottom right or bottom left. That's all they get.
Yeah, because personally I love drawing eyelashes. I feel like that is part of my style as well. Some people don't have eyelashes or they'll just leave it at this where it's like a thicker line and that kind of just fakes the idea of having lashes, right? For my personal style, I like drawing the individual lashes. So for this eye here, I did an idea of how the eyelashes should be curved and placed. Obviously, you can make it more intense by having more, but these are like good guidelines. Because the eye is rounded, the lashes will also follow that kind of curvature. Like the eyelash points or ends, tips.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When they're starting, they're going to start at the eye line, right? And then they're going to go and curve upwards, usually.
Getting the equal length on them, or roughly equal length, has been a bit of a challenge.
You don't have to make it equal length, though. Because everybody's lashes are all over the place. And also, like, if you're wearing makeup and stuff, it could change the length of your lashes in certain areas depending on how much you put.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
You know? So it's not necessarily the length, because even here you can see, like, the highest point of the eye, which is, like, around here, I would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
This lash is not that big, but it still looks good because it's curved in the right place. Okay? So when you have the middle part of your eye, that's a good indicator of where the lashes will like curve. So this is the middle part of the line. If there's a lash there, it's gonna go pretty much straight up. Oh, I'm gonna choose a different color here. Hold on. It's gonna go straight up, pretty much. Straight down. Because that's the middle part of the eye.
Right.
Okay? When you're starting to go onto this side of the middle eye line, it starts to curve the other way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing applies to this side of the eye line. It starts to curve this way.
Like light shining off a sphere.
Um,
It radiates out in the direction that it would. It's okay. Yeah. It's the way it works in my brain.
if that makes sense in your brain. You had me lost, but
All right.
that's kind of like a good rule of thumb. Obviously, you don't have to keep them all at the same length because eyelashes are all of different lengths and sizes. I like to, like when I'm doing it, usually I'll mix it up a bit. So I'll start doing like different. Oh, where am I? On the eraser now for some reason. I'll do it all of different lengths. So I'll start off with the main ones just to have a good idea of where the placement should be, right? But then I'll start mixing it up a little bit and have little ones in between. You know? So there's not like a set rule to how many lashes and what height they should all be and stuff. But I feel like if you manage to follow the curve rule of the lashes, that helps a lot to make it look more realistic, at least. But again, there's different types of eyes and eye styles, like depending on what kind of style you draw, like if it's more cartoonish or more anime. Sometimes you can get away with just like 1 or 2 lashes, you know? It really depends on the style that you're trying to go for, but if you're doing more realistic lashes, that's like a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, I think lately it's been like the bottom right corner is where I'll put like 3 lashes, and that's about as far as it's gotten.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, you don't really have to do lashes. This rule also applies to more masculine type characters because I draw men or masculine looking OCs and stuff, and I still put lashes on them. Doesn't matter. So, the longer they are, the more prominent they are, the more feminine it's naturally gonna look, I think, because it's gonna kind of look more like they're wearing falsies or mascara or whatever makeup. For masculine type characters, I feel like I tend to focus a lot of the attention on the bottom lashes, and depending on the eye shape, usually for masculine characters, I have more of like a sultry eye shape look like this. Okay, so let's say that's the eye shape that I do for a masculine character.
Yes.
The lashes, the lashes that I will do, usually the top ones will start pointing downwards. Like that. I don't know why I do that. I find that I notice that I do that for more masculine looking characters. I think it's because the more that they point upwards, it feels more like it's makeup to me.
Okay.
But when it's pointing down, it feels like it's just more natural. If you're drawing a feminine looking OC and you don't want them to have like the full dolled up look, curving them upwards is going to make them look way more dolled up. Pointing them downwards, it's a little bit more natural and sultry looking, I find. So that's another way of doing lashes. Yeah, so I think that's it for eyeballs.
Yo. Hey, so what's up?
Hello, welcome in.
How you doing?
You take a little sippy sip.
Sip.
Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.
I wish this worked on my other thing.
To give a shout out.
Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't.
Boop.
Watch the first VOD of the art tutorial. Awesome. Yeah, they should stay about 2 weeks behind for the moment. Totally planned, not laziness on my part at all.
Yeah, unfortunately, the first part of the art tutorial was just me explaining how Clip Studio Paint works, because I didn't really have like a lesson plan or anything like that. But last week we went over the skeletal structure of the entire body, and it had a really cute thumbnail though. Ah, thank you.
We're actually selling those thumbnails now on Regen.
Yeah, I've been doing the thumbnails for our YouTube channel for a while, and I've also been using it as like a way to promote streams when they're happening. And people have been liking them so much that I decided I'll just put it onto my VGen and try and sell them that way so other people can have them too.
Yeah.
I didn't think that people were gonna like that like cartoony style I like to do, but seems like they do, so.
Yeah, it seems to work really well.
Yeah. Anywho.
Oh.
Yeah, so last week we did the body skeletal structure, and this week we're going over face structure. Basics, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. So that's it for the eyeballs. I think I covered pretty much everything I feel like is important. Also, like, recreating the eye if you have 2 eyes in your piece, like, it really depends on the face structure or the face angle. Like, if it's a 3/4 view, like I said before, the eyeball that's farther away or like caught in the angle, it's going to be a bit smaller than the one that's closest to you. And the side profile, usually you don't see the second half of the face, so there's just one eyeball to draw, usually. Front-facing view, you could just cheat a little and copy and flip the canvas and just have the same exact eyeball on the other side of the face. A lot of artists do that, and that's totally fine. I do that too sometimes if I can't draw the other eye. It happens to all of us.
Drawing the, I guess, right eye is almost always terrible for me on the side of their face. My hand doesn't want to make that curvature yet.
Yeah. Usually I'm fine with it because I like having the look of the eye not being symmetrical. I like a little bit of asymmetry in people's faces.
Yeah.
I feel like it brings a little bit more like humanity to it, or more realism to it, I guess, because not everybody's face is symmetrical. So I kind of just allowed myself to accept that. But sometimes if I can't recreate the other eye shape, what I'll do is I'll do the copy, flip the canvas type of thing, but then on top of that, I will just like redraw it just so that it's different enough.
Probably try that.
Yeah. Because like having it symmetrical is totally fine, especially for like some art styles. Totally fine. Models, they're supposed to be flipped in exactly the same, so that's fine too. But for me personally, since I have more of like a realism style usually, like that's what I sell on VGen mostly, I like to make them asymmetrical. Okay, so that's it for the eyeballs. Let's get to nose breakdown.
Break the nose.
I'm gonna break down about noses and cry about it.
Probably.
Sorry. My throat is really dry today for some reason.
You want water?
Sure. I'll take some water.
Water everywhere. Not a drop to drink. We are teaching art in here so that you don't stink.
What are you on about?
I had to rhyme it. Yeah. So I was working there. I'm a bard, damn it, I swear. Classically trained.
Don't kill me, please. If I laugh too hard, it's gonna hurt.
So.
Okay. For noses, I'm going to show how to do like a realistic kind of looking nose, but it also applies for any kind of style of nose. So like here, I drew more like an anime-esque style nose. The middle one and the side profile one, more realistic, obviously. So I'm gonna break it down for you guys. I think you're gonna see that it's not as difficult as you think it is. It's not live.
No.
So again, we have this diamond shape that I told you guys about in the first section. Right?
Diamonds.
This diamond shape works for any style of nose. Okay. As you can see, it's not a 90-degree angle. It's pointed slightly downwards here. That helps with the idea of what this shape of a nose is supposed to be like. My voice, I'm losing my voice, everybody. I'm struggling. All right. Hopefully. Lies nose hard. It's not that big of a deal. Everybody calm down. We're gonna get through this together, I promise. Okay, so that diamond shape that I told you guys about from the beginning, it's really an amazing guideline for noses, especially when you're starting to do different face angles and stuff, okay? So this nose, the realistic nose, I'm gonna go over that first, okay? We're gonna bring it down in shapes. Okay. I'm like running out of breath. Okay. So like I told you guys, there's that middle line, right? You could do a straight line like this. That's totally fine if you want to do it as simple as possible. If you're doing a realistic nose, however, it is a little bit better to put it on a slight angle like this. It's just going to help with the placement of the other shapes of the nose, okay? If you're doing it like this, it kind of looks like a crystal shape that's pointing downwards or hanging downwards, right?
Yeah. Upside down fox heart.
Yeah. So when you're doing that, the middle point is going to be the middle circle and the tip of the nose, okay? Then you're going to have two other circles, usually a little bit smaller, but you could play around with the sizes, obviously, because everybody has a different shaped nose. But I like to do it more oval and a bit smaller than the middle nose.
Schnoz circle.
As you can see there, right? Okay. Then you can choose whichever side you want, but usually you have the bridge of the nose, right? You could say that it's on the center line. However, because the tip of the nose is rounded, you can't have the edge or line of the bridge of the nose directly in the center, because then it's going to make the tip of the nose look like it's a geometrical shape and not, you know, it's going to look angled rather than round. Okay, so you can't start the bridge of the nose there. You're going to put it more off to the side so that it will go down to the edge of the circle of the tip of the nose. And then it goes down. Like that. That's rounded. It's like teardrop shaped almost, right?
Oh, teardrop it.
Okay. So when you do that, that helps you with where the shading on the side of the nose is going to be, right? Everybody on the same page?
Page 1. Draw a circle. Got it.
Okay. Then for shading as well, the bottom part of the nose here down to the what do you call that? There's a term for it, but the little divot where your mouth is, that's what this is. It's also shaded because it's a dip in the skin. Okay.
Break.
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 Oh.
Break the nose.
Ad break. Drink time. The philtrum. Thank you.
Nice work. So good Google foo, right?
Listen, I'm not well versed in names and titles and words.
The nose dip.
I just draw and that's it.
Oh yeah.
I actually have a disability in verbal communication, so
Nice.
you know.
So the nose is in like 6 shapes there? 9 shapes, I guess. 3 circles, 3 planes on top, 3 planes on bottom.
Yes.
But,
Yes, it is. I had to think about it.
mm-hmm.
But it is, yes. Usually like this hard line, it really depends on the lighting of the piece, right? So let's say the light is coming in on this angle. That's why you're going to have the shaded part on this side, and why I would draw the line on that side as well. If the light was coming in on the other side, it would be opposite. Make sense?
Generally, wherever the light is coming in, the line is going to go the opposite direction on the nose.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, if you're doing realism, there is still a little bit of shading here because of the shape of the nose, but it's not going to be as intense as the other side.
Just because it dips in some.
Just because it dips in, yeah.
Screw realism.
Okay, so I mean that's pretty much the basic shapes of the nose. Then you can just start doing, you know, your detail work. If you're doing line art, you're gonna do that part of the nose, right? This part, it's where the nose nostrils are, and then you can do the lines that follow the curvature that you did of the circles underneath for that. Does that make sense? I feel like I didn't describe that very well.
I feel like it's all right.
So the nostrils, they're kind of like little tiny
D shapes.
apostrophes that are laying down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? That's kind of what a nostril would look like. Obviously, this changes depending on the angle. If you're looking upward, you're gonna see more nostrils, so it's gonna be more of a shape like this, right? If you're looking down, then you probably just won't even have to draw the nostril because there's just you don't see it, depending on the angle. But usually front facing, you're gonna see a little bit of nostril, so it's kind of like a little laying down apostrophe. Usually, that's the shape of it. Does that make sense for everyone?
The tiny little line.
So for complete side profile, it's the same idea. You have the circle for the tip of the nose, which is at the tip of the triangle that you made, or the diamond shape that you made. And then you have the secondary circle, which is there. A little bit smaller and less prominent than the tip of the nose.
Becomes like a C shape almost.
For the line art?
Yeah.
For the line art, it's very easy. Then you follow the shape of the triangle that you drew, curve it around the circle that you did for the tip of the nose, right? You have your little laying down apostrophe for the nostril, and then you're following the curve of the shape that you drew for the secondary part of the nose, right? And that's pretty much a side profile of a nose. It's less complicated than the front facing because it doesn't have the other side, but and as far as shading goes, again, it's all about lighting. If the lighting is coming in this way, then you will only have a little bit of shading here just because it's dipped. But it's not going to be super intense. If the lighting's coming from this angle, then the highlight's going to be more like on the edge of the nose. And then the rest is going to be pretty much shadowed.
So on the diamond shape at the bottom, the lip will start like halfway along the nose down there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the other side.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where the lip would start.
Close to, I guess, if you followed like a straight line from where the nostril connects.
Yeah.
Stupid side profile.
Yeah. It's a little bit complicated, a little weird, a little awkward sometimes. So that's for like realism types of noses. Again, the shapes of the circles that you do can alter the shape of the nose as well and how like prominent they are.
I don't have one, Husky.
Watch time action?
I mean, you can try it, but I don't think we have one.
I don't even know what that is.
It tells you how long you've watched a stream or how long you've watched the person.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not set up.
Okay, so I got distracted.
The anime style nose.
Yeah. The anime style nose or simple style nose, it still follows the same kind of rule usually. So when it's front facing, you have the line here that goes down and in. Still kind of follows the lining of the diamond shape, right? And then the nostrils, it depends, but usually it's just like two little apostrophes at the bottom, and that's usually more than enough to signify that it's a nose.
It's like the hint.
Yeah. That's like the really simple way of doing noses. Usually it's seen in like animes, but every anime I feel like has a different style of artwork, so there's different types of noses. Sometimes they just do a line like that, you know?
Just as long as it's consistent, I think.
Yeah, as long as it's placed in the right place of the face, then usually it's totally fine. It looks fine. Yeah.
I think I've just been doing those mostly.
Yeah, you've been doing the simple style nose, which is totally fine. I just wanted to show like you could do a realistic type of nose and not have to make it too complicated for yourself. So I hope that my
That's fine.
explanation helped a little bit to simplify like a realistic nose.
I guess our models use the more simple.
Yeah, it's a more simple nose on our models.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost identical.
Yeah, because I felt like it would be way too hard to do a realistic type of nose and have Mama Mary rig it to move around.
Do
So.
the shifting back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that for noses, if everybody's okay. We're gonna do a mouth breakdown now.
I'm lost.
Obviously, I'm gonna teach more of like realistic type mouth, but it still applies for other style mouths, like anime style mouths and stuff like that.
The circles.
Mm-hmm. So if you're following the guideline of the base of the face already, you already know where the tips, the corners of the mouth should be. Mouth line really depends on the expression you're doing and if, you know, they're mid-talking or if they're smiling.
Hello, Paulette, darling.
Welcome in, Paulette. It changes the shape of the mouth pretty much, depending on what kind of mouth expression you're going for. But if we're doing neutral, usually you'll start with just like the flat line because of the skeletal structure base that we're talking about, which is totally fine. Based off of that flat line, then you can start trying to make the shape of the lips. Usually I'll start with a circle in the center, like this for the top lip. And then I'll try and make it into like a weird looking heart shape. Obviously you can change the size, the amount of space it takes up, how pointy it's going to be. You know, it depends on the type of character you're drawing or the type of mouth you're going for. But this is like the basic shapes that you can play around with in your own time. The bottom lip, it usually just consists of two ovals being together.
The heart is hidden in the lips.
Like that. Then, when you're trying to shape it, you have your corners of the mouth. You're going to follow the curve of the top lip because the top lip usually goes on top of the bottom lip. It's a little bit more prominent usually. So you see how it's a little bit curved because of the circle that I had there. The top part of the lip, it's going to follow the shape that I made with the circles and then connect to the corner of the mouth. So that's the guideline of the top lip. Bottom lip also connects to the corners of the mouth. And you can be more exaggerated with it if you want to make it more of like a W type of shape. You can totally do that.
W.
But these circles help guide you for the overall shape of the mouth. And again, you can play around with the size and stuff. The lips don't have to be super juicy like this example, but I wanted to make it as big as possible so it's easier to see.
A heart on top of a butt.
A heart on top of a butt. Yes. Usually these shapes are still valid for when you're doing like an open mouth or a kissy face. It just changes a little bit because the corners of the mouth might move in depending if it's like you're doing a little kissy face. If you're smiling, then the corners of the mouth will go out a little bit more. And that will also stretch these green circles within the mouth. So if you play around with the shapes, you're going to see that it's going to form different types of... it's just a good way to form the lips a little bit easier for you. What else? So I did the 3/4 view here. It's the same idea for the shapes, right? The only difference is that here, if you see the middle line, that's the middle line of the face, like we described for the skeletal structure of like the face entirely. The middle line of the face is there going through the middle. These shapes, they're still going to be the same, except like I said, this side of the face, you're not seeing it as much and it's farther away from you. So those shapes are like this circle is going to be a little bit smaller than this circle because this circle is facing us and is closer to us.
Bigger is usually closer.
Yes. That's a trick for a lot of foreshortening for body structures as well. So when we went through the skeletal structures last stream, foreshortening, it's pretty much that if it's closer to the camera or to you, it's going to look larger. So the size of the object or the size of the shape is going to be larger. And what is farther away from you is going to be smaller. So that's that for that. And side profile, really, you could do the little circle that's there and then have the bigger circle on the side there. And then just one of the circles for the bottom part of the lip. And again, it will always connect to the corner of the mouth, and you know where the corner of the mouth is because of the 2 middle lines that we do for the skeletal structure.
Lines up with the eye.
Lines up with the middle of the eye, roughly. Yeah. So that's that. If you're not doing realistic lips, okay, you can totally just go for the same idea. So you have your line. You can do the middle part of the lip in that shape, right? Those shapes, you can totally do them. If you're doing it like that, then you have, you know, the middle part of the mouth. And usually, like for animes, they'll just simply like show that there is a top lip and a bottom lip just with a simple line. So usually it's like this. Right? That's more than enough to signify that it's a mouth. Those 3 lines. They do not have to connect.
Yeah.
More realistic lips, having the shape there where it connects to the corner of the mouth, it helps a lot more, especially if you're doing makeup and stuff. But a lot of the times, like for anime style or cartoonish styles where it's just these 3 lines, when you're doing makeup, sometimes just doing a soft airbrush and putting a little bit of color in the center of the mouth is more than enough, and then adding a little bit of shine, you know? So eventually we'll go over all of that. That's going to be a little bit more complex.
Makeup, yeah, it's been a headache, but it's not, that hasn't been too bad to learn.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but like when we go into rendering and how to render out like face structure and keeping the shadows looking right, we can go over some makeup stuff too, because I love putting makeup on people. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the mouth. It's not too complicated, I find. Some people find it a little bit complicated, but when you break it down like this, I feel like you can never really go wrong with it. So if that makes sense.
A heart on top of a butt. That's how you get the lips. They meet up under the eyes. It's amazing.
I hope that Fox's little tips and tricks are going to be good for people. That will probably stick in my brain when next time I draw lips. A heart on top of a butt.
That's right.
Okay, so face breakdown. Let's go over everything again.
Beat that, folks.
So I wanted to give an example of like a simpler style, still following everything that I just went over. So you can see here.
Love the half-elf ears.
Thanks. I wanted to do half-elf ears because I was just showing like simple ears, but anyways. So this is like a more finished product, right? It's a little bit more designed. Has a bit of an expression. Also, it's a downward 3/4 angled face, okay? This is how the skeletal structure that I taught everyone today, that's how it would look. And then on top of that, you put all of your detail work and your line work, and you end up with this product, right? I didn't do any hair details because that's going to be a whole other stream.
Still a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah, but since we're just focusing on faces and head structure, then this is kind of a good idea of a simple style and showing how it can be applied to the complex skeletal structure and lining and stuff. So just to go over it again, you have your base circle, which is here, right? So on this finished product, you can see it here, right? You have the middle line of the face. Middle line of the face. And then the middle eye line.
Yeah, I feel like I've almost always needed references. The last piece, I think
Yeah, like I've said, like I think every stream, having a reference is the best thing you can do as an artist. It's always good to see it with your own eyes of how it should look and then try to recreate it in your own art piece. I recommended getting those like little mannequin puppets that are made out of wood that you can get like at a, a dollar store or whatever. Even art stores, I think they sell them too. That helps with like positioning of everything. But if not, you can always take a photo of yourself and have yourself as a reference. A lot of artists have like a little mirror where they can see themselves doing it. A lot of animators anyways do that too. Or have a friend that is okay with you taking photos of them just so you can see the angle of things that you're trying to recreate, Having a reference is always the best thing you can do. But if you don't have a reference, you should still be able to manage with this type of skeletal base. So that's those main lines. Then we have the jawline.
the awkward photo thing.
Awkward photo
the dolls
thing.
are really neat.
Yeah, the dolls are really neat. There are some companies that have made some that are like more anime style and like super customizable. Those are fun too, but you could just go for like the cheap wooden ones and that's more than enough to be a good guide for you. Even with those mannequins, I still recommend taking a photo of it at the angle that you're looking for, because if you're looking at it, the angle might change depending on the position of your own body and eyes. So, friends, where do I get those? Off the street, somewhere, I guess.
It's, you're in our server, it's fine. We're friends, you're good.
Yeah. Okay, so then you have the jawline that you're gonna want to draw. It's less prominent because it's pointing downwards. It's at a downward angle, so that's that jawline right here on this piece. The mouth line. Again, to know where to place the mouth line, it's really good to... I can't use red. Hold on. Go.
Orange!
Go here. The middle face lines here are a good indicator of where the mouth should end, so... And also they go through, like, the center of the eye, usually. So it helps you with the placement of the eyes as well. So there's that. Then there's the nose, which is that diamond shape. Right? You have the top eye line and then the bottom eye line. Top eye line, bottom eye line. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The ear starts at the middle eye line going down to the jaw line. The jaw point, I guess, the corner of the jaw, or a little bit higher than the point of the jaw. That's fine too, but not too high. That's where that is.
Still making, I think, a lot of my jaws a little bit too big. I'm connecting correctly.
It's possible. There's that, and then, like I said, for eye placement, usually a circle that go in between the top eye line and middle eye line, and the same size usually will fit in between, so that's a good signifier also. But also the middle face lines will go somewhat in the middle of the eyeball, so that's that here. And because it's a 3/4 view, this eye, which is farther away from us, is going to be slightly smaller than the other eye that's closer to us. So there's that. As we can remember, for the eyeball, it's a ball. Because it's looking downward, the brow bone takes up space, which then squishes the eye, the top eyelid. So it's going to be curved more downward like that because it's round.
For the eyelid.
For the eyelid, yeah. The bottom eyelid is also going to be curved. Right? Same thing for this eye as well, but it's going to be slightly smaller than this one because it's farther away from us. And of course, you can place the iris anywhere in the eye. It could be looking up this way too, if you wanted. Yeah. But for this piece, I wanted the character looking downward. The brow will be curved downward as well, because it's all gonna fade. It follows a sphere, basically, right? Let's say this is the head. You have the middle line, bottom line. It follows that curvature, right? I'm doing it really bad here.
A lot of lines.
Right? That's kind of like the grid of the face that you would be following. It's always curved.
Globe.
So things foreshorten, things increase in size, and it takes a lot of practice to be able to just know it pretty easily. But if you're following like this guide that we just went through in great detail, it should help you guys a lot. At least I hope it will. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Here it's the simple nose. So it's following the diamond shape here with the little nostril. That's more than enough to signify a nose. And then the mouth, it follows the middle lines that we have here, right? And then you just put the top lip and bottom lip. Just having two lines there is more than enough to signify lip.
Yeah, for the simplified kind of anime style.
Mm-hmm. Another trick for detailing the neck and collarbone. This tendon that's in your neck that's very prominent, at least usually very prominent, it will always connect to the base of the skull. And it will always kind of be in a V shape like this, right? It will connect to this area of the collarbone, and the collarbone kind of goes out straight like that. So if I do it on this one here, like that.
It's a triangle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a cute.
But again, we went over the skeletal structure last week, so like you would know what those lines are from the skeletal structure that we went over last week. So I just wanted to mention what that line was because I remember Fox struggled with that the other day. So
Yeah.
but now he knows. Now he knows.
Well, I think I was drawing like the jugular vein, not the tendon that's there.
Yeah. The jugular vein's not going to be very prominent unless if you're like raging or
The
whatever.
Hulk or whatever.
Yeah. That line is usually the tendon that is in the neck that kind of keeps your neck together. As far as pointed ears, like I just wanted to give it as an example here. You could have your base drawn as a circle, and then later on when you're doing detailing, just do whatever ear shape you want, really. But it still follows the same guideline of where it should start and end. Good.
Superior elven ears.
I hope that makes sense to everybody. If there's any questions, you can totally ask them now. Fox, do you have any questions?
Why do I have to do this?
Why do you have to do this?
I'm gonna have to recreate this.
Yeah, because you wanted to learn how to draw art.
I know. I do very much so.
Yeah.
More proficiency.
Was there anything that I explained today that didn't make sense to you, or?
Hey, Mithril. Thanks for the first time chat.
Total sense, great lesson. Yay! Thank you.
Delightful.
I'm glad it made sense. I really struggle describing things verbally because I do have a language disability, so I have a hard time finding my words on top of being bilingual, so that kind of messes things up in my brain a lot. I'm more of a visual learner anyways, so I'm hoping that me drawing it out on top of things kind of helps people a little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tutorial. You did great explaining. Thank you. The lesson is not done yet. We're gonna switch over so that Fox will try and apply everything that we learned. So if you wanna,
No problem, so.
if you wanna watch him perfect. That's gonna be coming up in just a little bit.
Perfect.
Demi's back to watch you struggle.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So that's good. Oh, looking good.
Yeah. Well, then we'll swap over. Give us just a minute.
Yeah, so, I laid this out for you, Fox.
Yay.
So you can draw on it. You have the idea of the base that you have to recreate first. And then try your best to try and bring it from this to a somewhat finished product.
Yeah.
But this time you have the reference. Last time I didn't set you up with a reference, and it was a little bit tricky, but you still did really well.
Thank you.
But this time you'll have the reference, so we'll see how you do, and hopefully things made sense.
Yeah.
So just give us a couple seconds. We're just going to switch over our models between the computers and have Fox take over the tablet.
Yeah, would be right back.
Yee!
That's the mouse.
The mouse is there. It's there!
Where am
I have no idea.
I? I don't either. What's the
Thanks everybody for waiting while we switch. Unfortunately, my computer is so bad, so that's why I Anytime we have a model on my computer or coming from my computer, it's really glitchy and not as aesthetically pleasing.
Yes, that's aesthetic.
Yeah.
Circles.
Box circles.
Box circles. Circle. Circle. That's circle, right?
Yeah. Remember, if you have a hard time doing a circle all in one take, do smaller lines.
I mean, I can do the very sketchy one.
Yeah, do the sketchy one. Get that shape in. Good.
Circle. Totally a circle. Totally.
A very small circle. You want to make it a little bigger for yourself?
It's a thorns. That's thorns. Alright. Now that's also where the indent of the face is.
Yeah.
Because then it goes like that.
Well, not that much, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Because it's a downward angle, you're going to see more top of the head than you are the rest of the face, so. Yeah. Remember, doing the middle of the line is going to help you with your guideline.
Yeah. Alright. Like the middle of the circle.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Do I do the next third first?
No. Now you can do where the eye line should be, the middle eye line.
Just above the circle here. Rotate. Because I can't do a curve. It's lower than that.
That's pretty good. Pretty accurate.
The top will be at the top eye line and the bottom eye line. Not quite the same curve, but you know. Yes.
So now you want to try and get your jawline down.
So the end of the curve of the cheek.
That is a lot of space.
A lot of space.
But you remember when you're looking down, you have less face space at the bottom of the face?
Less face space. Yeah, because this is like the face.
Let me see.
Obviously, a circle.
Roughly, yeah.
But then one like that. And then the ear was going to be like here, so.
Yeah. It's pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I feel like the chin's better than normal.
Yep. So now you can do the middle line faces of the face.
Of the top thingy. This one's a little straighter.
Yeah.
What?
So now you know where the mouth is supposed to go, right?
Somewhere in this area. Kind of curve a little bit because it's. And the nose is the triangle-y thing. Starts to the eye line most of the time. I'll do that in a different color. Blue. Let's see it. Do it on another layer, I suppose.
Remember, it's the diamond shape. So the nose, usually the top tip part of the diamond shape, will start where the eye line is.
The top eye line up here, or this this eye line here?
Up there.
Yeah, okay. Yep. All right. Doop doop doop. Doop.
Yeah, except it's a 3/4 view, right? So
One side's gonna
one
be...
side's gonna stick out more.
I think maybe... Is it showing up all the way?
No.
No?
Exaggerated a bit more.
Like two? Even further?
Because the face is looking this way.
Okay.
This side of the face is going to take up less space than this side of the face, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the nose sticks out, so it's going to take up a lot of the space here.
It's gonna be the reverse. I don't know how to phrase that right. Okay.
Because the nose usually sticks out farther away from the face, it's going to take up more space on that side.
Like that.
More, yeah. Where are the eyeballs, the eye sockets?
Mm-mm. I mean, they'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
This one will be smaller. This is a bigger. This is a smaller.
Pretty good. And where's the ear placement?
So here's the edge of the face. So like that. Not the right ear shape, but I mean.
Yeah, no, it's not. Don't do an elf ear, just do a regular ear. Don't forget you have the red blind reference there. You can, yeah.
Yeah, so it starts at the eye line.
Mm-hmm. The middle eye line, yep.
Mm-hmm. And then it connects to the jaw. I don't have a...
Yeah. It's a bit better.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the neck.
Neck goes in a cylinder. A little long, it's fine. Cut it. Cut the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Comes a cylinder. Boop, 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 boop.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little triangle.
Mm-hmm. Remember the middle line for the collarbone?
Like there. This actually goes this way.
The middle line for the collarbone. This is the collarbone here.
Uh-huh.
You want it to go. Do the middle line for the collarbone.
Like, do those? Is that what you're saying?
No, just do a line.
Yeah, is this it?
That's not the collarbone. That's like the spine, right?
Oh, you're saying just do a line
Yeah.
for it. Okay. Like.
So if you look at what you did, it's pretty good for your first try, but it's not at the right angles as the reference. So what could help you, I think, is this circle here.
Okay.
It helps you to know, okay, that's that part of the face, which means that everything kind of needs to be moved over a bit. Because your middle line, you made it start really at the middle of the face.
Okay.
But it's not a middle face drawing, right? It's very much side profile. So there's a lot of headspace here. And less headspace here. Right?
So this middle line. Needs to be more like this.
So you did it pretty good, like here, right?
Uh-huh.
But then you somehow went like all the way there.
Okay.
So now your chin's all the way. I'm exaggerating it here.
Right.
Like all the way over there, you know. But when you're doing the middle line, it kind of goes down like this. So your chin would be here. Which means that everything, like this part is fine. You drew like this, right?
Okay.
Which means your eye is going to be here. The nose takes up most of the space. Then this eye is going to be more here. It just shifts everything a bit more to that side, right?
Okay.
And because it's looking down, I would exaggerate the middle eye line a lot more. Everything's going to be down. Now it's looking like it's looking down, right? Erase this. Does that make sense?
Yes. I see what you're doing. I just don't know how to...
So if you want, we can start over again.
Okay.
Because you did good. Those were where the things needed to be for that face pose, but it's not exactly the pose that we're trying to do. Good?
Yep.
So start with the circle again and try and make it bigger so it's easier for you to try and place everything in the face. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the middle line.
Going too far this way. It needs to go straight down more.
A little bit more straight down, yeah. Mm-hmm.
More like that.
Yeah. Now do the middle eye line, but you want it to be really low because it's looking down.
It needs to be closer to the edge of the curve down here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one is here.
I wouldn't give it that much space because it's on an angle.
Okay.
So there's less. Remember, there's more bottom eye than there is top eye. So the top eye line will be a little bit closer to the middle eye line.
Top one will be more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's up, Koozie?
Welcome in, Koozie. Yeah, Fox is learning how to draw.
More like so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now the jawline. You don't want to have too much space because technically you're not going to see most of the jaw because it's looking down and you're seeing more of the cranium and the top of the head than you are anything else of the face. I mean, that's a bit inward.
What's it? Oh, the start of it is?
Yeah. Yeah. A bit better. Tired from LARPing. Sounds fun.
LARP.
There we go. That's pretty good. So the only problem is that the circle that you have for your cranium is sticking out further than the highest point of the cheekbone. So it's making it look like the face is beaten inward.
Okay.
So this part of the face,
Yeah.
it looks like they have a huge head, forehead. So the best thing that you can do is bring it up just a little bit. You see how that balanced the face out a little bit more?
That's weird because I don't still see it that way, because I see like this is smaller for the cheek over here than the top here. So my mind puts it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when you look at it...
Yeah, it's like a straight line.
Yeah.
So then... It's not it either. Does it look right?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Another thing that could be throwing it off a bit is this, where this is going. This probably needs to be more like this, because, again, the cranium of the head should be more prominent on this side, right, than it is on this side. Because it does stick out on this side more, right? So if you have this going out, and then the jawline starting here, that would make more sense.
Right. This one.
Mm-hmm. But like the circle that you have for your base circle, it's very oval this way. You kind of drew it like this, exaggerated, right? Should be more this way, you know? So this part's gonna stick out a bit.
I wish I saw shapes that way.
Yeah. It's alright. Okay, so do the center lines to know where the mouth and the center of the eyes are.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Them all straight.
Yeah, the first line you did, it's not really following the angle very well.
It's not. It's more like that.
No. It's okay, leave it as it is.
I don't understand. I can redo the second one too. That's fine. Like I should just duplicate this angle.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's
Yeah.
just goes off the base.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mouth is just here. Right. 1, 2.
It's... Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
And the nose. More prominent on this side.
Mm-hmm.
Less prominent on this side.
Mm-hmm. And the circle for the eyes.
There, group on the eyes.
Don't make it a perfect circle like that because of the angling.
So it needs to be more vertical oval, or
Remember, the brow bone takes up a lot of the space, so the eye is going to be more like downward.
okay. That's we're close, but.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But remember, the eye that's closest to us should be a little bit bigger. If you look at the reference that you have of the finished product, the eye is significantly bigger than
Significantly.
the other. Mm-hmm. It's the right shape, it's just...
Let's make it a little messy. It's too small. Still too small. Much.
Hard to tell for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just now the irons are not on the same lines, you know? So it looks a little lopsided. I would just redraw it. Just make this
I know. Try to get out of it.
make this line bigger, like this. It's a bigger eye.
Oh, alright.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The ear?
Here goes my line for jaw, but I guess it connects to where the mouth is.
Yep. Wait. Mm-hmm.
Like a really big ear. Okay.
It's a big ear because you made the mouth line kind of point like slightly downwards this way instead of curving it up. The outside.
Okay.
But it's fine.
Oh. And then the neck.
Mhm.
Neck's pretty close to where the ear is. Cylinder. Very sloppy cylinder.
That's a thick neck.
Right. There.
Mm-hmm. That's a bit better, yeah.
What center line here? This line. Collarbone.
Collarbone's going to be a little bit closer to the bottom of the cylinder.
Yeah, because then the V will be like this.
Yeah. So just to save you a little bit, because because like I said, when you drew the circle of the head, you made it more oval rather than like oval in height.
All right.
So you made it very long this way instead of making it more circular. So just to save you a bit, you could just cut part of that off. Because it's like way too long. So it looks like an alien head a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
It's like Megamind.
Yeah, you drew Megamind.
Gotcha.
So if you make it just a little bit smaller like that, it'll feel more round like this way. rather than it being like this, you know.
Yeah, doing proportionate circles is still.
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
That's better, but it's not the way my hand seems to function.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
So now you can make all of that very pale, and you can try and do the detailing.
Squish. Yeah. Actually, let's just leave it. All right. I got all or nothing. Just do the head outline.
Sure. Personally, I like to go with the eyes first.
Okay.
Not everybody does that. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. But I like to get the eyes done first, and then I'll just start doing the outline of the face.
All right. Like this. All right. Don't know what a nose. No.
The top of the nose doesn't have to go past the eye.
The eyelid will be up here somewhere. Be like up here.
Mm-hmm.
Eyebrow. Not even. No. There's an eyebrow. Then recreate an eye.
Again, the eyebrow, you want it to be within the top eye line. You drew it above the top eye line, so now you made the face look like it's taking up more space than it's supposed to because of the angle.
Okay. Your eyelid needs to be smaller.
No, not necessarily.
Have it going all the way to the top of the eyelid.
Yes, so then the eyebrow will cover it.
I guess I can just draw over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Vanish. It's alright.
A little angry.
It's alright, I tend to draw angry, apparently. The sultry does not seem to come across as well. So then this needs to follow this a bit more. The second time I think I've drawn this direction.
Mm-hmm.
Very angular, but without pupil.
Hmm. So this part,
Yep.
you did follow the line, which is fine, but it just doesn't look right like that. I would put this down like this. Connect the eye.
So that's the top of the eyebrows connecting.
That's the eyelid.
All right.
That's the eyelid.
Yeah.
That you just drew?
So the top of the eyelid is curving in to the interior.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm.
We have the mouth line. It actually goes like this instead.
What's going to help you too is probably shifting that eye you just drew a little bit over, because again, you can fit two eyes, but you can fit an eye between the two eyes. So they're a bit close together right now. Mm-hmm. A bit better, yeah.
Okay. It moves it off that center line though, but
It's okay.
okay.
Your center line was a little bit off.
Will be for a very long time.
Yeah.
So then the mouth goes like that.
Yeah, it would be a little bit lower though.
La-da-dum.
Do the top lip and bottom lip.
Little thingy. Second line. Some shitty little expression.
Sure. It's not bad.
Mm-hmm. And then do the face outline.
Yeah.
So the top of the head is going to come into where the basically where the eye is, right? Line art. I despise you so much.
It's not really supposed to be line art at this point anyways.
No, it's just another sketch, but then my line art will still look like that because it's all choppy.
I think doing the little detailing of the hairline is going to help you with the head shape as well.
Like this. Okay.
Makes the head look less alien, I feel.
Yeah. And then this will be. Like that.
Yeah.
Just there, there. This line comes.
So do you see the difference between where the neck starts on the reference and where yours is starting?
Yeah, it's more like here. And this is here at that ear line. So.
Yeah. Because it connects to the back of the head, right? Not to the jaw. So if your back of the head is like here, that means it's going inward here, around here, right? So it's going to connect to the back of your head. And then this part, it's going to be a little bit more like this. See what I'm saying?
That.
Mm-hmm.
And then this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bit better.
The collarbone line somewhere in here. This would come in though, right?
A little bit.
So.
No. This, you want to make it more straight.
But then this should come up.
Yeah, because I did my line differently.
Gotcha. It goes this way.
Yeah, so because you're changing the angle there, this is gonna be more here, because when you think about the skeletal structure, you have your shoulders, right?
Right.
So the shoulders would be there. You want the line to connect to the shoulder as well as this part.
Right, so this becomes a straight line then,
Mm-hmm.
and then these have to just triangle out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty good for a hard face angle. They definitely look like they're looking down.
They do.
Yeah.
Solid.
Pretty solid, pretty solid.
Fantastic. All right. What do you think we're going to do for the next lesson?
Oof. I guess we'll leave that up to everyone. We could do hands and feet. I remember people wanted to go over that as well. Not that we can start doing like hair shape and how hair works.
Let's see. Look at a poll.
We're gonna make a poll.
Make a poll.
Everybody get your votes in, and we'll know what the next lesson will be.
Hair.
We do hands and feet.
Hands. Feet. Expressions.
We could do simple expressions, yeah.
Anything else? Those three?
I think those three.
Alright. I'll give it 2 minutes.
So everybody watching, if you want to decide what the next lesson will be for next Sunday, just get your votes in.
Or else. I'll pick something random, I don't know. Do have Divinity 2 a little bit later tonight.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Fox is coming back with another stream.
Yeah, I am despising hands in particular. Feet, at least 90% of the time, I can just cut off.
Yeah. Hands and feet are pretty tricky, but I can go over the basic shapes and stuff like I've been doing. I feel like usually when I go over that with somebody, then it starts to make a little bit more sense. So
yeah, I remember, this, and then this section is the first knuckles. This section is the next knuckles, and basically not 5.
Well, not straight like that either, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I remember pieces.
Yeah.
All kinds.
Yeah, I think if we do the hands and feet lesson, I'll try and do like different hand positions and stuff too, just to show how that would look like as well, like with the basic shapes or basic skeletal structure. But yeah. I know that you're not looking forward to it because you're gonna have to recreate it.
I hate hands!
So we'll see. That was just for the looking down pose, though. It changes for different angles, but yeah.
Yeah. Quick sketch.
Oh, quick sketch. What's up next? What's the result?
Hands and feet.
Hands and feet, it is.
Hands, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Alright, so next Sunday I'll create a lesson so that we can go over hands and feet, the basic shapes of those. how they work in movement, how to pose them. Yeah. We'll go over the basics of that.
Pose my. I'm debating whether I just wait and... I'll need time. I gotta eat anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will be back in just about half an hour. And we will do Divinity 2 with Eisen.
Well, I won't be here, but yeah.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for hanging out. The VOD will be up in 2 weeks, this one. There is a new one from 2 weeks ago for the tutorial on CSP up there on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
Social. Oop, there you go. Or not. Socials. Oh, we got an S. There it is. Hey, it works that time. Right. But yeah, so we'll back in a little while.
I hope that the lesson was good and easy to understand. And I hope that it helps somebody.
Yeah.
Even if it's just Fox.
You know, eventually it'll help me. I'll burn it in.
Yeah, eventually it'll click.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for coming in. It means a lot that you guys stopped by.
Well, I'll be back in a little while. I think I'm just gonna end stream and then I'll be back soon. So like 25 minutes. I'm gonna grab some pizza. Pizza. See you all later. Thanks, Echo.
Bye.
Bye.